Hello, everybody. Ella J here on behalf of WrestleZone, and today I am joined by the Arm Collector, Jessica Troy. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm fantastic to be catching up with you, Jessica. It's been about just over a year, about 15, 16 months since we last talked with you, and a lot has changed, but I will say one thing has remained the same. You are definitely continuing to raise the bar over there in Australia. And I know you were humble and you will deny it, you will downplay it, but there's no denying that you are the bar in Australia. And
Oh,
obviously,
thank you. You're too nice to me. It's been too long, right? I need to do this
girl,
more often so my head gets bigger.
you know what? Like, this is my fourth time interviewing you in what, 4 years? So technically, like, we've done one a
Bit of a
year.
streak going on.
It averages out, yeah. Obviously you have a lot of exciting things coming up, which we'll talk about in a bit, but we have to reel it back a little bit because, like we said, you're raising the bar. We have to go back to a huge history-making moment that took place last October. Of course, I'm talking about your big title win at PWA Coliseum, where you defeated Ricky South to win the PWA Heavyweight Championship. I know that was a super emotional weekend for you, so tell us about those emotions that you were feeling and what that moment meant to you. You are now the first woman to ever hold the PWA Heavyweight Championship.
Yeah, it was a pretty special weekend overall. Like to be trusted and like held accountable to hold any kind of title or championship in PWA, especially considering that's my main promotion, is a pretty special moment. And at Coliseum weekend, so it's PWA's biggest show of the whole year, main event spot, me and Ricky South, and I'm just glad someone finally took the belt off him, you know? He had it for too long, so at least it was me.
Ah, see, you know what? You talk about your head getting big, Jessica. It's rightfully earned, though. After
Thank
that
you.
match, I saw a video of the locker room celebrating you in the ring. Tell us about that moment and taking in all the love and recognition from your peers.
It's pretty cool. That's one of my favorite moments is, you've done a good job. You come backstage and my mum was in the crowd and she was sitting on the stage because we have stage seating. And so obviously everyone's cheering. I walk backstage and then she hears an even bigger reaction backstage, even though she's in the crowd. So it was pretty cool to have all my peers and my friends support me in that moment.
Yeah, and I remember, scrolling through your Instagram, you wrote a really a reflection post of sorts where you talked about your journey through wrestling so far, which is like 10 years now, by the way, coming up on 10 years, which is
It's 10 years
absolutely
this January. So it's been
wow. So
10
already,
years, couple months. Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, since training. Yeah, since training.
yes, yeah. And like so many women in Australia, you've obviously been inspired by the performance you saw from the likes of Madison Eagles, and you've gotten to train alongside her at the PWA Academy. So, talk about your experience with Madison Eagles. What are some things that you've gathered or learned from watching or training with her?
So it's not even just me or all the other like female trainees we have, but everyone at PWA training, I think, has learnt 100 things from Madison Eagles. Like she is the reason why Australian wrestling has so many good but also underrated, I'll say underrated wrestlers, is because she's the one training them all basically.
Yeah, what are some specific aspects of wrestling? There's so many. There's the obviously the physical, there's the psychology, there's moves. What are some particular things that you've absorbed from Madison specifically?
Her traits that really I took on were more so making myself look more powerful, making myself look not necessarily bigger, because I'm not going to be the biggest person out there, but more dominant, a more dominant factor, which after watching her wrestle, I'm sure you can say, yeah, she's a pretty dominant factor out there. So that's what I try to embody in the ring as well.
Yeah, and it kind of not juxtaposes, but I know you very much see yourself as an underdog, and I think we talked about this last time, and you even said it in your statement that, you consider, you want to people look up to you and you want to continue fighting against the rest of the world. So tell us about some other underdogs in wrestling that you've enjoyed seeing perform and like you said, try to stand up against the rest of the world.
Okay, so in Australia, some of the best underdogs are another one of my coach says, well, when he first started, Robbie Eagles was always classified as an underdog, of course. Then you have people like the Velocities, they're always the underdogs. But eventually these people turn into when they get just so good and they're so undeniable that they're no longer the underdog. And that's only going to happen for other people. So we have like Cherry Stevens now, who's
Yeah.
always classified as an underdog. We have people in Newcastle like Rita Stone classified as an underdog, but that's not going to last very long because they're just so good.
Yeah, and you may still view yourself as an underdog, but I know many people, including myself, consider you to be the face of Australia. Even if you don't feel it
Stuff.
yourself, how does it feel knowing that many people, even just in interviews, like you said, in an interview with Cherry Stevens and Kingsley recently, they both agreed with me. You basically are the face of Australia. So how does that feel knowing that so many people admire your work on that level?
It makes me feel amazing, I think, obviously, like to be looked up to in that kind of way, even if I don't really see myself like that. But to be around something for 10 years, I think people just start to realize, oh, this person's hanging around for a reason. Maybe they have somewhat of an idea of what they're doing, hopefully. So take a little bit of inspiration from them. Hopefully that can be me.
You definitely know what you're doing, and like we said, 2024 marks 10 years since you joined the business, in January since you started trading alongside your good friend Charlie Evans. So
Yay.
as you assess your career so far, obviously character-wise, you are still the underdog, but you've shown a lot of power. And what other aspects do you think you've grown as a person and as a competitor throughout these last 10 years?
Throughout the person, I can say I've definitely, I don't know if you can say I've gained more confidence because it's very much, I've always been a fake it till you make it kind of person. All the confidence you see in the ring and outside the ring is definitely me just hoping for the best, hoping I know what I'm doing, hoping I know what I'm talking about. And that's really gotten more so important becoming a coach at PWA. So I'm training up and coming or wannabe wrestlers. So I kind of have to know what I'm doing now and at least sound like I know what I'm doing because I have to be, once again, dominant in the ring. I have to be confident in what I'm talking to them about because I'm actually teaching them something completely new for the first time ever. So it's pretty fun. I'm really enjoying it.
What are some of those lessons, what are some of those lessons that you're trying to instill into the new generation? What are certain things are you trying to emphasize in your lessons with them?
Well, I'm teaching them also beginning or
Yeah.
like basics, but not just like the wrestling, but also the etiquette that comes in wrestling, especially at PWA. Like we train together no matter the gender, we wrestle together no matter the gender, no matter the background, no matter anything else, right? So that's something we really instill in our rookies and trainees from the get-go. It's one of the features we do either at the tryouts or at the very first training sessions is like you treat everyone the same, no matter who they are, where they come from. Once you step in the ring, you're going to treat them the same, which is just something everyone should be doing in life anyway. So it's good to
Yeah,
see that reflected in a ring, I think. It's really important.
yeah, so I'm curious for you because I've talked about this with a few other of the kind of more established Australia talent. I feel like especially in the last 3 years, we've seen an influx of a lot of new faces. Like maybe I don't know if it's just because COVID like stalled it for a little bit, and then everybody kind of thrust in at once. But I especially in the last 3 years, we've seen a lot of new faces burst onto the Australian wrestling scene. So, you worked directly with a lot of them. Who are some of the talent from this newer wave do you think that more people should be taking note of or keeping an eye on?
Oh, I love it. I love and hate this question because I always I'm going to forget someone and I'm going to feel awful watching this back and be like, why didn't I say that person or something like that? There's the go-to people, like I feel like I always answer this and say Cherry Stevens, but she's had enough
Yeah.
recognition from me, so we'll go on to someone else.
She's had a title run under her belt now too. You mentioned Rita
Right?
Stone too as well. I imagine she's probably
Rita
one.
Stone, absolutely. There's Shay Cassidy as well, who's tagging with Kingsley at the moment with the Backslide Girls and Everett Connors as well. So that's really cool to see. There's people like David Streamer, who's up and coming. There's people like, I don't know if you've even seen him, but Cosmo Cooper. He's appearing on some of the PWA shows now, especially our like more academy and trainee based shows. It's just I feel like the names are endless and it's only going to get more exciting. Even seeing, because we had a tryout this Tuesday, right? And even seeing almost 40 people want to
Wow.
become wrestlers and like they were all so keen. They were all so into it. No one gave up. So it's just more and more people. We need a bigger space.
Do you recall how many people were at your initial tryouts at PWA in those early training sessions?
I didn't do a tryout. Not
Oh.
me.
I'm so
No,
curious.
because
Yeah, I don't know if we've talked about this. How did you segue then into PWA and training sessions then?
I just turned up and hope for the best. No, I because I started in Newcastle. I just saw a
Oh,
poster on Facebook and I was like, oh, can I come and train with you guys? I sent an email and they're like, yeah, come this week. And then I came and, and just did a training session. And then I kept coming back every week. And then I found out about PWA. They do some car loads every weekend to go train on a Saturday morning. So I would just jump in with those, rock up and train at PWA on the Saturday morning until I became familiar and friends with everyone. And then that eventually turned into me moving to Sydney and training there every single week, multiple times a night, multiple times a week.
multiple times a week, the grind never stops, and it can't, especially for the PWA Heavyweight Champion right now. So, all eyes are on Jessica Troy. I love the dress Jess Troyer era. That is like brilliant, by the way. And when I saw it,
Oh,
I
so
absolutely
good.
popped when I saw that. You know,
I love
in
it.
in your reflection post that we were mentioning earlier, I saw a little something at the end which got me to thinking. It looked like you teased a potential match with a name that many people know. I'm talking about Zack Sabre Jr. Tell us about why this potential bout particularly interests you.
Well, of course I teased it. He's the one that teased it first.
It's
After
true.
he won Colosseum, he won that cool sword, which that's like the best sword they've ever had for Colosseum. All the other swords, I was like, whatever. But this one, I was like, I want to keep that one. Um, he teased it. He was like, normally a tournament winner gets a shot at the heavyweight championship, and obviously I just won it. So I was like, obviously I want this match. I'm gonna keep teasing it until I don't know, someone puts it together. Hopefully PWA, but we'll see.
Feel like it kind of has to be in PWA at this point, or I know you're all about expanding your horizons. He's basically all over the world. He's from England, but he does
True.
a lot obviously in Japan. You've been to Japan, he's done some stuff in the States, so we'll have to stay tuned on that one. But I know that is one that I think a lot of people would be tuning into, and it would be really well received. So
Yeah, I hope
definitely
so.
crossing my fingers to that. But
Me
two
too,
weeks
but also scared because I don't want to get so stretched.
I mean, you'll be stretching his arm, so
Yeah, maybe stretching my whole body, and that sounds
that's
painful,
true.
but gotta do what you gotta do, I guess.
That's true. You are the heavyweight champion, so you kind of have to absorb basically
Yeah,
whatever
you're
they throw at you. Yeah, yeah, girl. But 2 weeks before you won that championship, you took part in WSW's Full Throttle Tour, which was a series that was particularly significant because it marked the in-ring return of one of Australia's pioneers, Cassie Lee Payton Royce. Many people know her as. You and Lena actually got to wrestle her in her actual return match in tag team
right.
competition. So tell us about that experience and getting to share a ring with Cassie Lee.
It was amazing. Obviously, she has so much experience within Australia, but and obviously her time overseas as well, right? So getting to work with her, you just learn so much of a different kind of style that we do over here, and it's just I love that kind of stuff. I love learning how other people put together matches or how they um work backstage. And she was just the most lovely human I think I've ever met also. She's just so kind and so thoughtful. And to see her, backstage watching all the matches, she was there ready with like a water bottle for everyone when they came back because they needed a drink, like
Yeah.
stay hydrated. It was just stuff that you kind of forget in wrestling that you can just be a kind, nice person. And it's
Yeah.
cool to see how a kind, nice person made it so far as well.
Yeah, and it's kind of bittersweet. She did win the WSW Women's Championship, but then shortly after that she revealed that she was pregnant again, so her return kind of got halted. We won't see her in the ring for a long time, but
I'm glad I
what a
snuck in that small window
yeah.
though.
Yeah, what a moment. I think she wrestled 4 matches that weekend, or 4 matches, I believe, and I think you were in 2 of them. Maybe three, actually 3, I believe, because you were in the five
Three, I'm pretty
way.
sure. Three,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, and another tag match you had with Charlie Evans, I believe it
Yeah.
was, against her. So, I mean, like you said, you got to be a part of that. It's a little bittersweet, though. You got that mini homecoming, hoping for more, but definitely the her foot's in the door. Once she you know, pops out her second kid. We'll see what happens.
100%, yeah.
We'll see what happens.
100%.
Would that be something that you're interested in one-on-one? Obviously, I don't think you've faced her one-on-one before. No, because by that time she was signed with WWE, I believe, after you got your foot in the door. So is that something you're
Yeah, I don't
interested
think we
in?
even, I think we might have met once. I
Yeah.
can't, oh, actually, no, I don't think we met once at all. So it was my first time meeting her was it last year? So great.
Yeah. That again, that's another maybe potential one-on-one matchup for the future. But you know, something else last year that you also had, I think, was an amazing opportunity to see you is you were on NWA World as a Vampire tour where you
Oh,
got to
yeah, I
work with the
was.
likes of Kenzie Page and Natalia Markova, in addition to some fellow Aussies like Rita Stone and Cherry Stevens. So tell us about that experience. It's such a unique experience because there's music going on and you're also
Yeah.
wrestling. Tell us about that experience.
I love that. If I could do that every weekend, I'd be a happy girl. Just the audience or the crowd for like a music or a music concert, they were so into the wrestling. I think it was such a clever way to kind of like break it up or have a break in between sets or between artists while also keeping the crowd entertained, giving them something else to cheer for, and just getting them more pumped up for the
Yeah.
next artist to come out on stage. So it was really cool. They were really into it. And then afterwards in the Sydney show, after the wrestling, we got to obviously the ring had to stay there, so we had to watch the whole show. Oh no, what a shame. We had to stay there and watch Smashing Pumpkins. So we're in the ring, had the best view of watching the show, and then I'm sitting next to Kingsley, and then suddenly we hear these two voices come from backstage, and she just goes, I know who that is. And then the Veronicas walk out on stage. And I don't know if you know who the Veronicas are, but they're like a
Yes,
big
and
deal
I
in
know
Australia.
Kingsley loves the Veronicas.
And
Yes.
then I have a video of her on my phone and she's just freaking out, going, the Veronicas are here. And it's just one of the best things ever. One of the highlights of last year.
I have actually also seen them in concert. It was 2013. They were part of this like multi artist kind of not festival, but you know, sometimes they do those concerts where there's like multiple artists going on and
Yeah, for
they
sure.
perform like a few songs. But again, this is like a decade ago. I have gotten to see them in concert before. And I
Oh,
know
I'm jealous. I
especially
don't think I've seen them except for that one. They came out for one
yeah.
song and I was like, oh, done,
I
seen
think
them.
I got to see them maybe play 5 songs at most, so I a similar experience, but, you know, what a cool thing to blur, you know, music and professional wrestling together. It's such a unique experience that I think n people need to do more of, honestly.
100%. Not even just for the crowd, but for the wrestlers. So
Yeah,
I can see more musicians or bands I want to see.
exactly. I'm so curious if you got to maybe create your own similar event, what band/artist would you have on your lineup?
Oh, that's such a good question. But I have like the strangest taste in music, right? Where it's a weird
It's
mix.
your event though, so you can do whatever you want, Jessica.
Okay, okay. Who do I want there? Okay, I want to see Ocean Alley. I really want to see Ocean Alley, so they have to go there because I'm into like Australian indie. Oh, they're not really indie
Yeah.
anymore. Um, I want Teen Jesus and the Gene Teasers, who we've actually in Queensland, we did a small show for another band or another like festival kind of thing where there was a
Yeah.
few bands there and they were there. But it was kind of rainy and we left straight after, so I didn't get to see them. Who else do I want? Oh, Doja Cat. I love Doja Cat to be there. See, this is gonna be a weird mix of people.
A lot of people also create I've seen a lot of people take like inspiration and implement it into their ring gear too from Doja. I know Kingsley is one actually from Doja Cat, I believe. So yeah.
Absolutely. Can you guess who my pop artist ring gear inspiration was? Not anymore, but it was when I had like the metal chains and like the stripiness to it. There was definite inspiration from one pop artist,
Oh, there's a lot of pop artists, and I'm afraid to
right?
say the wrong thing.
Do you give up?
I'm afraid to say the wrong thing.
Or do you have an idea? Like, do you have an idea?
I mean, I know it's not Jennifer Lopez. Like
Oh, I
she's
wish
pretty
it was.
iconic.
No, no, it's not. It was Ariana Grande.
Oh, duh. You said gold.
Oh,
You
and the
did like
ponytails
golden
and stuff.
rings. Yeah.
Yeah,
Ponytail. I
exactly.
mean,
Yeah.
yeah. I know ponytails. You're also, I just realized, is your hair short now? I just realized that.
Oh
Or
yeah,
is it just the
absolutely.
way it is?
It's longer again now, but it was like up to here, and I need to
Wow.
get it cut again.
It's been a long time since I've talked to you then because,
Oh yeah, it's been a long
yeah,
time since I got a haircut. Well,
dang.
besides that one.
It's realized because you've always had such the long, beautiful ponytail and all of that. It's lovely though. It's good to sometimes freshen up and all of that.
Right? I just
Um,
wanted to change. And I feel
yeah,
like next time it's just gonna keep getting shorter and shorter because it's really convenient to have short hair.
it probably is too, because then there's less chance that it gets in your face too, as well. Especially now, I mean, you would normally put your hair back most of the time, but it comes loose sometimes. Especially when you're
And just like doing my
wrestling.
hair up, like because I used to do three or two ponytails,
Yes.
and my hair's quite it's curly or wavy, so it was pretty hard to do
Yeah.
without straightening it.
You do have naturally curly hair, so I can imagine,
Yeah.
but it always looked great. So, keep going forward that you can, I mean, you have the free range to basically do whatever you want, but I'm so glad that you brought up like ring gear designs. Last time we talked about obviously your Winx inspired blue gear. You
Oh
have
yeah, I
this
forgot about that
like
gear.
yeah, you have I don't it's not it's kind of quilted. I don't know how to explain it, but you know which one I'm talking about. It's kind of quilted fabric. Um
It's crocheted.
yeah, that's the word I was looking
Yep.
for. What inspired you to create your crochet gear?
So that gear, I can't remember where the idea came about. I wanted flowers on my next gear because Ricky South called me a flowery hippie or something like that. So I'm like, he's not wrong. So let's just go
Yeah.
into that. I mean, where facts, where's the lie? Um, so I wanted flowers on it, and then and just kind of into more different textures. So I was taking more inspiration from like my everyday instead of
Mm,
from someone else. So I was like, I'm really into a crochet kind of look at the moment because I like that kind of indie vibe. So I actually just went out and bought those pants. They were long pants. I cut them in the shorts. My mum made the top and all the crocheted flowers, and then she put it all together for me. So basically, my mum made my ring gear. Yeah, which was really
awesome.
cool.
And saves you a lot of money.
Absolutely. Very expensive ring gear, and I have a lot of it. So I was like, I'll save some money. But I have an
Chris,
idea for a new set as well that's hopefully coming out soon.
is it I don't want to say atypical, but is another kind of atypical fabric choice or is it more traditional?
It is the same as my crocheted one. So it's
Okay.
crocheted again, but this time it's taking inspiration from something else.
Okay. Now, I'm so curious from a functional standpoint because it is not the traditional span. I actually don't know what olive ring gears are made of. I know there's like spandex,
Spandex
there's
is normal.
jersey.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
from a functional standpoint, how was it performing and working? Did you have like was it comfortable to perform it from a like
Here's
functionality
here's
standpoint?
the crazy fact. It was easier than
Oh wow.
spandex.
Oh, it is.
Yeah,
I
which
guess because it's not like clinging to you. Yeah.
yeah, it was crazy. So the top isn't just the crochet part because I would be insane if I was to do that,
Yeah.
right? It's like a crop top underneath it.
Yeah.
So that stuck to me. It's basically like my other ring gear. So it's feeling the same. It's warmer because there's wool on
Yeah.
it, but
Yeah.
I'm hot in the ring anyway. So I don't really notice it out there. The pants, I can like move freer because they're like open instead of
Yeah.
being tight spandex.
Mhm.
So it's pretty good. My main worry was I was either going to get it dirty or it was going to rip when I was in the ring. But it's easy to clean, and so far no malfunctions. So hopefully
No,
let's keep that streak
no
going.
snarls either. Hasn't gotten caught on anything.
No, not yet.
Kind of
My other gear
surprising.
with the rings used to get it got caught like once or twice.
Yeah,
But this one hasn't got caught on anything yet.
that's good. I was so curious about that. I mean, you're kind of used. You also live in Australia, so you're kind of used to the heat, and you're a wrestler, so like you're kind of
Yeah,
used
once
to
you're out, like
everything.
it's hot. So it's hot. Some like venues are hotter than others, and you're like, wow, that was bad out there. But I never really noticed gear wise.
That's good. I was curious, and
Yeah.
obviously, I look forward to seeing what you have up your sleeve next. And actually, that'll be a topic of conversation for next time. So we'll have to catch
Absolutely.
up
How good.
about that. We have to talk about though this Jess Troyer era coming up has another exciting layer to it. Coming up on April 12th, that is at the Her event, which is an all-women's show running under legend Mickie James under the banner of Starcast. Obviously, this is a huge opportunity for the Aussies to get more exposure. But, as someone who is active in the Australian wrestling scene and has been for a decade now, what was your initial reaction to this announcement and what does it mean to you? We'll get into the matches more, but what was your initial reaction to this
I
announcement?
thought it was fantastic because it's only going to bring more eyes onto the great talents that we have here. Like I can't see it doing anything else besides that. You have amazing talent coming over just to show off, hopefully, our talent here, right? So we have, uh, I don't know if I can name all the talent that's going, but you
It
have
is
me.
it,
So
it
come and
is
watch
public
me.
now. Yes. Yes, it is.
Oh, perfect. So yeah, even just coming to watch Jordan Grace against Delta, right? Who doesn't want to see Delta? She's amazing.
Yeah, and obviously, like we said, this Jess Troyer era will have a new challenge at this event as you take on another veteran talent, Tenille Dashwood, in what will not only be a first-time match, but also her first match since leaving WWE. So, what are your
Is
thoughts
it
heading in?
really?
It is. It is. It is.
Wow.
So, what are your thoughts heading into this match against the one and only Tenille Dashwood?
I think it's really cool. Like so many great Australian talent obviously worked her before she went to WWE, and I feel so lucky to be included in that list now. I'm really excited to learn from her and just to have fun.
Match aside, there's no doubt too that Tennille, like Cassie Lee, who we mentioned earlier, I feel like is definitely a huge pioneer, especially in the country of Australia and especially for women. So, what are your thoughts on her overall career and the impact that she's had on the Aussie wrestling scene?
I think she has one of the biggest impacts ever on the Australian wrestling scene. She was one of the first, if not the first, Australian to go over to WWE,
Yes.
right? She was over there by herself for a long time without anyone else there. So I think it's amazing the work that she put in, the effort she put in back here to get noticed, and to continue that with her character development over there, with her wrestling over there. I think she was a great pioneer, not just for Australian wrestling, but for um, the female superstars in WWE as well. I think it's really cool I get to work her.
It's funny you also say pioneer because I don't know if you know this. You may know this already. Bull Nakano is obviously going to be at Starcast weekend. She is also going to be at the Her event. I don't know if you know this part though. She will be presenting the first ever OPW Women's Tag Team Championships that will obviously be contested between PPK and the Backslide Girls who you mentioned earlier. Bull Nakano, I know your good friend Charlie Evans is a huge fan of Bull Nakano.
She sure
What is
is. You should
what
have
is
heard
it
the voice message she sent when she first heard that she was coming.
what are your feelings like knowing that Bull Nakano is not is going to be present at this event and taking part as well?
Makes me want to also do my match against Tenille, but also like Charlie and I can be a tag team. We can be thrown in that match, for a chance to be presented a championship by Bull Nakano. That's amazing. I think that's a once in a lifetime opportunity. I hope the girls in the match really take full advantage of that and just enjoy the moments.
I mean, you two may be future challengers, you and Charlie. Like we said, this is going to be the OPW Women's Tag Team Championships. Just because you're not involved in this match doesn't mean you can't be involved in the tag team division. Tag team division. So at OPW, Charlie Evans and Jessica Troy. There's your pitch.
Maybe they should bring a tradition in where every time there's a tag team championship match, Bull Nakano has to come back to Australia to be ringside.
Now, I don't know. I don't know if Charlie could function during that.
True, yeah. Should we just be on the apron staring?
You might have to then fend that match for yourself, but you're always up for an underdog challenge. So,
It's all right. It'll be
it could work
fine.
out. It could work
Yeah, it'll
out,
be fine.
Obviously this her card is stacked with a lot of matches and talents. You mentioned one of them, Jordan Grace versus Delta. We also have Lady Flamer versus SDL versus Jody Threat. We have Mickie James versus Alicia Fox. Erica Reed versus Lizzie Evo, and of course, we'll also be crowning the first ever OPW Women's Tag Team Championship. So, and there will also be a six-pack challenge involving your good friend Charlie Evans. Besides yours, is there a certain matchup that you're particularly looking forward to, and why?
Probably I'm gonna say the most obvious answer. It's gonna be Jordan Grace and Delta.
Yeah.
I just love Delta so much. The earlier question of like, what other underdogs do you like in Australia? She's obviously not in the list because she's never been an underdog. Any
No.
match she's in, she's going to be dominant. But now seeing her with someone that kind of matches her style and matches her physique, it's going to be really cool to see what they put together and see how they go.
I'm super excited for this event coming up on April 12th. Before we let you go, do you have a final message to Tenille Dashwood that you would like to share?
A final message to Tenille. I don't know. Watch out, girl. That's about it.
Simple enough. Simple
Charm.
enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is true. Like we said, this is going to be her first match in, I want to say, since last July. So it's been a good 8 months since she's wrestled. And meanwhile, you are the reigning PWA heavyweight champion. You're coming in with a lot of momentum. So, and it's a first
And
time matchup.
I feel that just speaks for itself.
See, she's letting it go to her head, you guys. But rightfully so. Rightfully so.
Rightfully so.
Jessica, before we let you go, please let the listeners know where they can find you online.
So you can find me on Instagram at Jessica Troy Pro, also under the same handle on Twitter, but you'll rarely see me on Twitter, but every now and then I might pop on. Is that it? Is that all I am?
Jessica Troy
That's all I
Pro. Pretty
am.
simple. Pretty simple.
Easy.
Yeah. No, Jessica, thank you so much for joining me here today. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thanks for having me. Bye.